Hi guys, Fraser from LIFCO Hydraulics. We're in the St. Catharines facility and we're doing a P30S, which is a Gold Cup. It's a closed loop and it's the largest, most expensive pump that Parker sells. It is 30 cubic inches, which is about 500 cc per revolution. And it's about a $100,000 unit. Now, why is it so expensive? There's a number of reasons for it. One of the main reasons is its durability. This has a few features that make it extremely durable, one being the barrel bearing, the second being the vane chambers for displacement control. And then another feature though that makes it worth a lot is the valve block, which has a series of sequence valves, like poppets in there, that make it extremely reliable. And it actually has like a 2-speed of destroking, meaning that it can go back to 0, but then under extreme situations, it can go back even faster. It's also made in the USA, which is a big one, and it's been made in the same plant in Marysville, Ohio by mostly the same people for 40 years. We've had very little problems with this unit. I mean, it is a great one and we do stock a lot of it. So they're talking about applications of a Gold Cup unit, a lot of oil and gas, military for sure. One of the times I got a phone call from somebody saying, hey, we need this pump, and I look at it as a very expensive pump. I was like, oh, what's it going on? And they says, oh, it's going on an elevator. I thought, oh, it's an expensive pump for just an elevator. There are hydraulic elevators, but nobody really does those anymore. And I says, oh, wow, that's interesting. And he starts telling me, yeah, it's actually going on an aircraft carrier. So it's the elevator that lifts the ships from the hangar deck to the flight deck. And that's run by Denison Gold Cup pumps. LIFCO was originally a Denison dealer. That's why we know so much about Denison. So when Parker bought Denison in 2004 or 2005, around that area, we had a decision to make and we decided to go all in with Parker. So we carried a lot of our Denison experience into the Parker product line. This is why when it comes to a Gold Cup, a Denison vane, these are our wheelhouse. The premier legacy units, these are the things that we're probably the best at. Or at least if we're not the best, we certainly try to be the best. On this one here, I am involved in it because some of the finer details I did not know. I have sold these units for a number of years, but I've never actually really troubleshooted with them. I like to show that I did not know this stuff, and now I do know this because a major appeal of our videos is the educational nature of them. And it's far more important for me to teach you how to learn as opposed to just teaching you about a certain product. So the best way to teach you how to learn is to just show you how I learn. Probably one of my favorite part about doing these videos is that at the end of each one is I know a lot more than what I went into there. No charge pressure. So the charge pressure is what, this being a closed loop pump, it's what would feed the supply, so that's the inlet into the pump. In a closed loop, both sides are pressurized, but one's at a lower pressure. If it has no pressure there on this low side, then you're going to be starving the pump. So you could be basically dry starting it in those situations. So we have to jog it, confirm that there's charge pressure, and then continue turning the pump on fully, or turning the electric motor on fully. So right now we've been jogging it and we haven't seen any charge pressure at all. So we have likely something wrong with our charge pump. The charge pump here on this one is this rear unit. It's not a particularly large one for us, but it makes up for all the leakages of the entire system. So that would be the pump and the motor. But in this situation, we only have a pump. So it only needs to make up a smaller percentage of the leakage. This in here though is both a replan and servo.
Correct.
So, and this is from this pump here. This one is just the auxiliary.
That is feeding the internal charge pump. So it could be, this one might not be pumping, or the internal one might not be pumping. That's why I wanted to put a flow meter on here to see if any oil is coming out of here. So if we know we're getting oil out of here, we'll put the two back on and we'll put the flow meter.
Yeah, but the fact that we're getting servo and not charge pressure does seem is a little strange. We know that this one's pumping because the servo goes up, but this one does not go to servo, correct? Let's give it a try.
All right, suction's open.
There I got flow.
Really?
Just came up, yeah.
Barely.
Yeah.
Stop pumping.
It came off. Very little.
It's not pumping.
It came up to like
It is
3.
not pumping.
Okay, let's pull that T60 off and let's take a look.
That should have pumped. It should have been done by then. If the back one's not pumping, we're not going to get any flow to the front one.
Yeah, take the vane pump off the back and take a look.
And that came with the machine? Or with the,
No,
with
this
the
is
unit?
the pump that we're using. This is one of our pumps, service
Got it.
pump. This is supplied because this pump doesn't come with the external pump.
They
So we
have
put
it.
an external pump on to charge the main pump, yeah.
Now, John was of the opinion that it's because of the RPM has been low. So that's why it'd be nice to sort of know what RPM we got to when we were jogging. Is there no speed sensor on that thing?
No, there's no RPM sensor on this.
Oh, yeah. He suggested that we bite the bullet and just start it up.
That's easy to suggest. I'm not gambling a $100,000 pump. I want to make sure it's fucking right.
Okay, so we'll check the cartridge just to make sure.
It looks good.
Okay, then let's do that. It has some charge, right?
No,
So
it had servo. It had zero
No.
replay.
no, this is servo and charge, right? This back one is only charge, so it has something. Okay, so it's not nothing. So I think that if we confirm that, I think we're okay. We'll start it up.
Lloyd pulled the rear cover off the vane pump on the back just to make sure that it was set up properly for a left-hand rotation.
Yeah.
So that's what he just did. He confirmed that the vane pump is okay, just because that's providing replan pressure too, or replan flow pressure. So because we weren't getting flow right away, we weren't reading replan pressure up here on our HMG right there. And then we also have an analog gauge here just so we can see when it comes off the pin. It wasn't coming off the pin either, so that's when we just said, okay, we need to make sure the pump's okay in the back, because if that pump wasn't okay, we could damage the main pump. This particular pump doesn't have vanes on the springs to keep the vanes out to the cam ring to produce flow. You need centrifugal force. So we might not be having enough RPM, enough speed to throw those vanes out to the cam ring to produce flow. But we didn't want to take a chance on that. We wanted to check the pump first to make sure it was actually set up for left-hand rotation, and it is. So now we're more comfortable moving ahead.
So you got up to 900 RPM.
And we got nothing.
You need 600 RPM here.
We got no flow here. We have a coupler. Is it the right one? Do we have the right shaft? Did anybody check to make sure about that?
Let's take a look. Let's pull it off with this. We'll get to the bottom of this. Just nobody wants to take a chance because it's such an expensive unit. This is another example of what we're seeing in this P30S. As you can tell, we're filming this on a different day here, but this is a HPV 55 with an internal charge pump. With the closed loop, you have leakage on the lower pressure side. I say lower, it's not low, it's just lower than the other side. In fact, I think it could actually be a higher pressure in some situations. But anyways, oil is coming out of this case and it's a closed loop, but this is leaving the circuit. So it's not 100% closed loop. That's where it gets a little confusing. They say closed loop, you think it doesn't leave. It does. There's a little bit that's leaving. The charge pump in this case here is a Linde unit. The charge pump is internal, just like you saw on that P30S. But now P30S has another charge pump on the back of it because it's a big system. That charge pump on the back is trying to replace the fluid that's being lost. But in the P30S, it was a little confusing because there's two, and you would think that they're both being combined into one, which is what I thought originally. Turns out that they're not. Turns out one is going into the other, and then that is going into the unit. And it has to do with that for a number of reasons. One was this prioritization of flow that was going there. And then also two is you can have different size charge pumps. So the charge pump has to make up for the whole loss of system, so the pump and the motor. In that situation, and that one that we had on the test stand, we had only make it up for the loss of the pump. That's what made the whole thing a little confusing. So closed loop or open loop? Well, it has the control here, obviously two controls. These are pressure reducing valves. It has the A side and the B side. If you hear A and B side, you immediately think closed loop. The sure way is just checking to see the port sizes. In this case here, both ports A and B are the same size, closed loop. There's no sure things. People will use whatever is best suited for the application. The best thing to do is to just understand what they're trying to do with it before you do anything. If you need to make decisions based on your knowledge about it, then you better make sure you know. That goes back to what I was saying before. You have a responsibility, if you're working on things, to know what you're doing.
We're gonna take this off to make sure there's a coupler in there to make sure something is spinning.
That's it?
Yeah, we gotta make, well, this isn't driving.
Okay.
We have oil coming through. We should have 20 gallons around. We got 1. Okay.
That's the coupler?
That's turning.
Turning right away.
Is it 7/8 tooth?
13.
Yeah. So it's definitely got a mechanical link. Give me that air gun for a second. So I got nothing there. If I blow air into here, my replan comes up slightly. So I'm not getting nothing when I blow it in here.
Is that normal?
Yeah, I expected that, yeah. All right, well, let's put this back on. We pulled the T6C off and I jogged it and the coupler turned. It appears there's a mechanical connection to the rotating group. I'm wondering if the internal charge pump is the wrong rotation or if something is wrong with it. So I want to put a second flow meter, I want to put the flow meter on that other port and see if we get anything out of there.
Okay, and we don't want to take the T6C off and just test it?
Can't, because we'll have no oil supply to it, so we won't get into it.
T6C off. T6C and
Oh, I want to just throw it on here and run it real quick and see.
There's actually 3 pumps in this. You have the big main pump and then you have 2 of the smaller pumps. Which one is not working is the question. Now, you have this flow meter on this one here, but like, do you get flow?
Nope.
But then, that's what I don't understand. Like, this suction goes completely independent of all this.
I know, and it should be pumping out, and it's not.
If we go and we could test this one here, I mean, this one should be enough to power it on its own, correct?
I don't even know if it's going to have any oil. Where is it draw? It's going to draw its oil from the K port. If there's no oil getting to the K port, it's just going to spin there dry. It'd be like having the suction shut off.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what? Fuck it. Throw this one on the gear bench. We'll run it real fast.
Let's do that. I like that.
Ain't got to be perfect. They're only going to run for a minute. Not getting any flow, but I had a big bump. Oh, okay. Do it again. As you were saying, that pump's fine. That's where years of experience come in. I've seen the way the hose jumped because we got a large displacement on the small one. Sometimes it'll just kind of overshoot the flow meter, but the way the bench reacted, I could tell. So you started up with a little bit of pressure.
A little bit, just
it winds it down a little bit.
Hey, guys.
That pump's fine.
Yeah. Let me make sure the microphone's on so everybody can know I just figured it out.
What'd John say?
But I brought it to him. Jerk. So it was actually what Lloyd said that got me thinking about this, was that I was saying, well, this pump here, so the middle of the 3, is that it was supplying the charge and the servo. And we saw that there was servo supply, so we know that this was doing something right. Now, where does this pump get its supply of oil from is when Lloyd says, well, we can't run it without that T6C on the back because it's the supply of this one. Well, the problem is that this pump in the middle here is a 31 gallon and the pump on the outside is a 25 gallon. So it's always
25 on the inside, 28 on the outside.
It was 25. Somebody told me it was 31 on the outside. Okay, hey, okay, just delete this whole thing, okay? Yeah, there you go.
That's why we have to have that C on the outside. That's a 28.
And it has to be bigger than the one on the inside.
It's not, maybe it's not big enough.
Maybe it's still, maybe this, that 3 is still not enough, but it has to go somewhere. So I would think that unless something was put together wrong on the inside. Yeah. But you actually confirmed that no flow was coming on the outside as well, right? So we got something going on with this here.
There's a mechanic. That is in right. My question is, I know that we've had issues with that center cartridge before because it's an oddball. 90% of all vane cartridges have your rotor splines closest to your pressure plate. This one's backwards. If it's in a left-hand pump, it's got to be a right-hand cartridge.
But none of that should matter. That pump is fine. It was on the back of here and we got no flow.
Correct.
It's got nothing to do with anything else that happens here. Whatever this is not turning that pump on here. Simple as that. So this auxiliary shaft, there must be something wrong with it. Can we confirm that flow meter works that you had on there? It's because it has nothing to do with anything in that. It goes right from the suction. The suction line was open to it, right? Doesn't matter. We're not talking about pressure. We're not talking about a system. Flow meter on a pump. That's it.
I assume that the flow meter works.
Let's confirm that. We can't hold this pressure, but it was also the flow meters was telling us that there was no flow. So we put a flow meter though on both of the pumps now because maybe there's something missing and we don't seem to really begin anywhere. Isolating. Number one principle for troubleshooting. And what you isolate is the easiest thing first.
Now we got 2 flow meters on our pump, so it's double the flow.
And why is it running now versus before?
It could be that the vanes in the rear one were stuck. We couldn't get it up to RPM. I doubt that. It could air. It could have been anything. Could be that Fraser's bad luck. Seems to work as soon as he leaves. Okay, so our case flow is 19 gallons. Servo pressure is looking high. Replan pressure is a little high. So where the hell's the rest of the oil going?
All right, we got it going? Okay, good. And it was exactly what we sort of thought at the beginning, we just needed more time?
I think there was an airlock inside the unit, and when we had everything out and I was trying to check that, I may have fucked up and blew the coupler out and it had a big pop. I don't know if it was the air from the gun or there was an air in there, but oil started coming out, put it back in, now it's working.
You think that there was air?
I think there was air trapped between here, which was preventing this from coming through. It was kind of just not letting it build up.
Okay.
Because after we got all the air out of it, we got everything bled. She picked up pretty fucking quick,
Okay.
and it wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
But air will do all kinds of weird shit in these things.
Yeah, but we did jog it quite a few times, but...
We jogged it, we let it run for 5 seconds, but if there's an air, like I've actually seen an airlock in a triple gear pump or a quad gear pump where this section worked, this section worked, this one didn't, this one did. And it ran for long enough that I could undo it, pop the air, and put it back on. So it's unexplainable. There's probably a way of explaining it, but I don't know it.
And to release the air, basically when we undid some of the fittings that were at the top, the oil,
Basically,
because that tank is above
in our
everything?
troubleshooting, we got the air out and it started back up.
Okay, excellent.
So now we're going to see if it starts back up with the
Just had to
replan.
replan pressure down a little bit.
Replan was a little high. It was up in the 500s. They wanted at 420, so we're lowering it down.
So he needed further adjustment going on here?
Yeah, he's still about 50 psi high.
Okay, so what he's doing is that there's a pressure cutoff in there, and it's an adjustment, and Martino's just making the change. Why don't I finish up on this one? Pass the torch.
Sure. Okay, sounds good, yep. Was that another quarter turn, Martino?
Yeah, but I think it's wrong again because when I lock, turn a little bit.
That's okay, let's give it a shot.
You can't get better at it by thinking about it. You gotta fucking just do it. Every time you do a spool conversion on a DO1 or you do a spring change on an R4, every little bit of it, it's a transferable skill that you got to develop. If you don't do the jobs that are easy to do, when you get onto these complicated ones, you're fucked.
Yeah, but I still don't, so don't get what you did over there. So you just run the pump and leave
Over there means shit. That means that all that did was it proved the pump that we're not putting on there worked. It proved that the flow meters that we're working on that are not going with the job work. We're proving that our stuff is correct. I was just messing around seeing if I could blow air into here to get replan up, our servo would come up. When I did that, the coupler popped out and there was a big poof. I don't know if it was from the air or from the airlock, but it poofed, and then about a second later, oil started pissing out. I put the coupler back in, bled all the air out, Bob's your uncle, and the thing fired up.
Okay, so Martino brought that replan cartridge out about a quarter of a turn. Should be about 40 PSI then it decreased, right?
So,
Well, we're pretty good.
we're a little high.
I thought 425 was good, no? That's still a little high?
So, they want 4 to 420
Oh, 4
at
to 420.
1,500 RPM.
1500,
I
right?
think that's what it said on the sheet, right? 1,200 RPM.
We're at 9.
Right. So if that's what they want at 1,200, we're at 900. When we run it at 1,200, we're going to be at 430, 440.
Yeah, so we got to bring it
So
down.
we got to
just a
shoot
touch.
for the lower end.
Okay.
So a little more.
I'll give it a shot this time.
Oh, Dave wants to be the hero.
Dave's got to get some practice too. Awesome.
So if we look at what the customer wants, they want between 4 and 420, 640 to 650. We got 410 and 640. I think that's pretty close, should be good. So now let's check our centering. Yep, centering should be okay because I got more than my replan, but I'm not getting more than servo. We're gonna energize it both ways and make sure it comes back. Because as we know, air does some weird shit.
So we're actually getting some flow. The pump's actually on stroke right now and we're getting the shaft turning there.
So now when I energize it this way, it should spin the other direction. Like I said, it could have been air in it. That's why you gotta check it a couple times. Let's stop. So it could just be air.
So the swash plate, if it's at dead zero, we shouldn't see the shaft move because we're coming off the pressure port off each side of the pump. If the swash plate's on stroke slightly, one way or the other, we're getting flow out one of those ports. That's what causes this to move, the drive shaft on the motor. So right now we're getting flow out of one of the ports. In the center position, we don't want that. Okay, now we're just gonna remove the motor because Lloyd has finished the centering.
We still gotta confirm the beginner control, and we gotta make sure the hot oil shuttle is set right, gotta set the compensators, and we gotta test everything.
What ended up happening? Looks like it was just an air bubble in there. And there's something was just stopping it, and we were so sensitive to charge pressure, because if you don't have it, you starve your pump. And then you don't have any lubrication in there. So it could be a very expensive mistake if we didn't have it. So we're watching both the flow and the pressure to make sure we see something before we run the pump for any extended period of time. I'd say an extended more than 3 or 4 seconds. We probably could have let it go a little bit longer before we got worried, but we were watching like a hawk and we were just a little extra cautious. But anyways, all good, we got it working. He thought he heard a little pop when the air came out, and then the flow started coming, we saw what we needed to see.